Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Grimm Reader. This is my Grimm Chronicles, my weekly reading chat about my reading for the past week. There's sort of a clear divide this week. So Monday and Tuesday, sometimes I do this, it's a sign of, I don't know, nothing good. I start obsessing about my planning system, and this is only a little bit tangentially related to books, but it's actually related to a book I'm reading, so that's enough. And so I had decided I go back and forth between only using a notebook that I turn into a bullet journal, basically, with the task lists and daily logs, to use the speak. But then I decided I did really want a planner, a weekly schedule thing. So I went and got a beautiful new Hobonichi Weeks, which I've never had the Weeks before. And it's very, very elegant. This is faux leather. And so you see you have the weeks there, and then you have notebooks here. And the way I'm doing it, I don't want to show you exactly what I'm writing, but you see I'm using, this is a diary, and then this is kind of the appointment side. And you know, if I get really bored in summer, I can start putting stickers in it. I always, I'm somewhat drawn to that, but like most people, I think who has the time or the unless you really want to make it your hobby to put stickers in and prettify your planners, I don't think that's necessary. I am trying to write neatly. Oh, I actually did put a sticker in one day. Anyway, and so that was Monday, and then I was obsessing about which notebook to use for the next bullet journal, because this is my current one, and it's a Leuchtturm. Let's do a pronunciation check. Light tower in German is Leuchtturm, and there's a whole history behind why it's 1917 and why they're called that. And I always want one with a smooth spine, because I do kind of put them in a bookshelf, and if you have rings, it doesn't sit well on the bookshelf. And I'll show you the ones that I decided to go with. I decided, of course, that the notebooks I have in my box here none of them are perfect, as one does, and in a way, they're not. So it's okay. But when the ones that I did get, I bought a couple from the same company. I'll show you them. And I also so the epiphany, sorry to do stationary stuff in my reading update, but that's okay. So the epiphany I had, this is so unimportant, but this is how my brain works, is that I'm not really someone who likes a filofax system or anything with a clasp that you open and then write in. I'm a notebook person. Even the covers are okay, and I actually did order a cover for this, a clear cover, just a clear cover. A cover's fine, but anything where it turns almost into a wallet type situation, I don't think that's me. I actually have a beautiful filofax, which at some point I should just try and give to one of you, It's a beautiful, I'll show it one day. And it's a clasp, but I hate the rings. The rings are just driving, and having to take it out and put them back in, it just doesn't work for me at all. Even though it's a beautiful actual leather filofax and a pretty pink, dark pink. Anyway, that was my epiphany. So I decided, okay, I need a notebook, just a notebook with no clasp or anything. And I'll show you what I came up with when they arrive. The book that I'm reading connected to all of this is Ryder Carroll of bullet journal fame, his book, The Bullet Journal Method. And it's hilarious because I went to the Goodreads, and someone who I really do respect, her name is Tara Barbizon, and she's a dean of a university in Adelaide. She's a very prolific author of all kinds of interesting books to do with sociological themes, but she also has a pretty active YouTube presence, very active, where she gives advice on how to be a graduate student, how to write your PhD, how to be a scholar. She's incredibly prolific there too, and maybe I'll put a link to her. But anyway, she gave it 1 star. She said, I don't know what the fuss is. She's very underwhelmed by this book, and I can sort of see why. Self-help and productivity stuff is kind of annoying. It does remind me a little bit of a theme in the recognitions. There's this character who's reading Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence Them, and it's just the sadness surrounding this poor lonely fellow trying to connect to the world through this book, which was really, really influential. And Gaddis is just making hilarious fun of it all in a very kind of crass but on the point way. And Ryder is interesting. So the book is, I could sort of, it wavers between being kind of helpful and actually kind of making a good point about certain things. I don't have a specific example, but he's not dumb. He has this system, and the way he sort of structures his time and talks about how to think about time, and even sort of basic canards like you can't gain time, you can only take time, stuff like that. These little things that are put on posters. Some of them are quite useful. On the other hand, he puts in a lot of sort of annoying, condescending snippets of wisdom type stuff that just sort of send people like Tara off the deep end, I'm sure, and also me to a certain point. I think at some point I'll still dip into it. I still have it as I'm reading it, but I think I might just take it off. I'm not even sure I'll ever count it that I've read it, because I'm sort of more like just skimming through it on my Kindle, or on my iPad, sorry, trying to look for stuff that's useful. On the other hand, in a way, I am following the bullet journal method, the one that he's set up, and I think a lot of us are. One of the Goodreads commenters said, less Oprah, more get things done guy, Dave Allen. That's another productivity manual that some of you may know about. So yeah, that's the one book that's on there that's sort of, I don't know. And I'm still sort of reading it. So let's go through the other books. The Recognitions is going well. I haven't read much today, so after this I'll have to try and buckle down and get a few pages in before I go to bed, whatever. Not going to say that much about it today. I think I'm in the 700s. I always have to sort of check because I'm reading it both on the iPad and the book. To be honest, more on the iPad right now. Oh, I wasn't at 700. I thought I was at 700. I'm getting to 700, which is good because there's 932 pages. It will get done eventually. No worries. And the next one that I will be hopefully done with by next week is Gardens of the Moon. I'm listening to the Audible version of this epic fantasy novel, one of 10, The Malazan Empire. It's very good. It's really hard to summarize, but it is good. And I know that I'm sort of skimming a little bit because I'm listening to it. I often have to go back and check things. And even then, I'm not getting it all because I'm listening and not reading it. On the other hand, I don't know if I'd want to actually read it. Maybe I'm dipping into the Malazan. I'm going to listen to it, and I think that's good enough. I think I might get frustrated reading it because it would be slow, and I'm not sure. I think for me, listening to it, and the narrator is really, really good. He does the voices really well. And he really creates the drama of certain scenes, some of it is high fantasy. So there was this one scene where they were describing this creature, I guess, demigod person creature coming, sort of reawakening, and it was so over the top that it could easily have become parody, but it didn't. It was just high. It's very earnest in that sense, but it's good. it works. He is a really good writer, but I could sort of see like, oh, okay, I was just thinking how Sean would react to this. And then there were dragons. And we know how Sean feels about dragons. So, as always, I could see both sides, but I like it. And it is objectively, it's a good fantasy. It's very complex and interesting, and moral issues and good enough characterization. There are a lot of characters, but there's a few main ones that we kind of connect with. The plot is difficult because it's sort of, because it's about wars and empires. In this vague way, it's hard to sort of pin it down what it's actually about. And I'm thinking about the next one. I'm not sure straight away, but maybe. It's a maybe. Probably. It's a probably. The next one that I said yesterday in my vlog that I would finish, and of course that never happened, was a complete fail. I should not say on a vlog that I'm going to finish this book today. But I'm patient because I really wasn't feeling well yesterday. Even when I was sort of saying that, I wasn't doing that well. I'm doing much better today, but today I had to work on my class for tomorrow, and do some grading. So when you have to work, you have to work. No way around it. So I didn't finish it. I didn't even get that far. And it's like, it's okay. I mean, I'm like halfway. It's not very long. Yeah. So it's also an excellent book. It's the kind of book that I wish I could have enough French to read in French, because I have a feeling it wouldn't be that difficult. It's sort of, you know, there's not much of it, and the style is fairly simple. It's sort of, I'm getting vague existentialist echoes from it, just the way it's written. Maybe it's because it's an I narrator. And, you know, you start off thinking, 15-year-old with 12-year-older man, echoes of, well, not really Lolita, because he was even older. But it's not really, it is truly her kind of experience, her growing, and her family, and her getting older, and her very strange, but not really that, well, is it exploitative? I think it's more complicated than that. It's always going to be complicated when it's a 15-year-old and a 20-something-year-old, you know, but, I mean, at least he's not 50. So, and the style is very good. It's very poetic. It's well written. It's sad. It's sort of infused with sort of melancholy. Her family's very strange. And the mother's very strange. The brothers are strange and not very nice. In a way, she has the best relationship so far to him. And so maybe that's part of the theme, is that she's estranged from her family. And so this happened with this older man. And we'll see how it ends. So more on that next week when I finish it, or will have finished. And then I am also reading another sort of self-help book, so to do with chronic illness. It's called How to Be Sick by Toni Bernhard. And she's written a number of books, and it's sort of like talking about illness from the standpoint of sort of bringing in a Buddhist spirituality. And it's another book that I'm not sure if I'm going to even say I read. But I'm also skimming it a little bit, and I haven't looked at it in a while. But her approach is, instead of focusing on trying to get better, you know, how to make peace with and enjoy your life with chronic illness, as opposed to trying to get out of it, or sort of arrange things so that you're okay with it. And for me, it's sort of like, well, today I'm feeling better, but, you know, it's a new medication, who knows why. It's always going to be there. And I don't want to kid myself that it won't be. But on the other hand, it's quite mild. I'm not that debilitated is not the right word. It doesn't, I mean, actually, I mean, it's hard for me to say. I mean, I'm de-emphasizing it, because usually I'm in a lot of pain. I'm actually in less pain, which this new medication, we'll see. But it comes and goes. That's the whole thing of this. And it's also quite good. I mean, it's a different type of approach. I think I haven't looked at it for a while, but I'll have to come back to you and tell you a little bit more about it. So I've talked about 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, wow, there's 7. No, 6. This is just a long title. The last book that I started on a complete whim in the throes of my agony, so to speak, on Thursday. And that is the new book by Patrick Radden Keefe of Say Nothing fame that I actually ditched because it was good, but I was sort of not in the mood for it all. The book about the Troubles, which was really highly praised by a lot of booktubers. But I got interested in, because I sort of tweeted about how the title seemed fitting to me, Empire of Pain, the secret history of the Sackler Dynasty. So it's all about the Sackler family's involvement with OxyContin, that whole terrible saga of American life. Here comes Lily. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. I got it on Kindle, and I like it. It's sort of like focusing in the beginning on the biography of the Sacklers. And one thing I remember hearing on the I think it was Terry Gross, or I think it was her show, I'm not sure if it was her, is how he talked about how the Sacklers were very, very weird and unhelpful and uncooperative with him, and really kind of to the point of being threatening. I shouldn't be, talking on my YouTube about this. So, and that kind of just made me interested in them as an example of, and also I'm interested in the topic full confession, I'm not on OxyContin, don't worry, but on a low dosage opiate, I guess, but I take it very, very sparingly. But I have been on it for some years now. But I'm itching my arm from the stupid Moderna thing. It's still itchy. So, on average, once or twice a week, I'll take a pill, depending on my pain levels. So someone with quite severe, moderate, medium, whatever chronic pain, it's been a lifesaver, I would say. And knowing that I have that option. And so for me, it's always a question, so why can I do this and be okay and I'm not taking a lot of it. I don't want to take heroin. I don't want to buy more of it. I don't want to sell it. Nothing of I don't want to belittle the tragedy of this situation, but I've always wondered, for me, it's been really good to have it's not that one, it's a lower level one. But I'm also, I not that I undertake it, but I'll, the other day when I was in really, really, really strong pain, I think on Thursday, I may have taken 2. I'm trying to think. But that's completely unusual. And the prescription lasts me for months, maybe, 2 months, if not more. And so, that's why I'm sort of so concerned with this topic or interested in it. It's but there's this whole epidemic of people dying from this. And then I'm so what's the difference? Is their pain worse, or how have they been ill-advised, or what's going on there is always the question for me. So yeah, so this is coming at it from the family's point of view, and what they've done with this stuff and the whole terribly sad story of it. So yeah, that's the last book that I'm reading on my Kindle. I think I'm gonna wrap it up, and thank you all for watching. And yeah, till next week. Please leave comments. Thank you for watching. I already said that, and I'll talk to you next week.